Re Mi Fa Sol La Ti Do for exactly 116 seconds. The United States actually thought they had pulled off a miracle.
Yeah, they really did.
But instead, what we witnessed in Seattle was just a high-speed collision that ended a nation's dream. We are jumping right into the absolute devastation that unfolded in the Pacific Northwest.
Right into it.
The U.S. men's national team's World Cup run is officially over following a 4-1 elimination by Belgium. And if you were watching, it felt less like a traditional soccer match and more like watching a tightly wound machine suddenly just vibrate itself to pieces.
It really did. And, you look at that final scoreline, 4-1, and it immediately suggests a routine blowout.
Right, like it was never close.
Exactly, like a clinical, slow dismantling by a European heavyweight.
Mm-hmm.
But the actual experience of watching those 90 minutes, especially the timeline of how the psychology of the match unfolded, it tells a much more chaotic story.
Oh, totally.
It was a violent roller coaster of momentum swings where the U.S. was just constantly reacting rather than dictating play.
Yeah. Okay, let's unpack this for a second, because the first half alone was enough to give you whiplash.
Yeah, absolutely.
Belgium comes out and just strikes early. Charles de Ketelaere scores a stunning goal right at the 9th minute. The stadium goes completely silent. Like you can hear a pin drop in Seattle.
That's the worst nightmare for a host nation.
Exactly. But the U.S. fights back, and in the 31st minute, Malik Tillman lines up a free kick. It takes this wild deflection, completely wrong foots Thibaut Courtois in goal, and the U.S. is on the board.
And the crowd just loses it.
The crowd in Seattle absolutely erupts. It felt like the ground was shaking.
And that right there is the danger of emotional peaks in knockout football. For exactly 116 seconds, there is this pure, unadulterated hope.
Right.
You have 70,000 fans believing the momentum is entirely shifted, the adrenaline spikes. But elite teams, and Belgium is undoubtedly an elite team, they feed on that exact kind of emotional overextension.
Right, because literally in the 33rd minute, like barely after the stadium announcer finishes calling Tillman's goal, de Ketelaere comes right back down the pitch and buries a crucial header to make it 2-1.
Just a devastating psychological blow.
It really was. You could visibly see the shoulders of the U.S. players slump. But the real turning point, the moment where the wheels entirely came off the wagon, happened just before the hour mark.
Yeah, the 57th minute. This is the moment that, frankly, is going to be analyzed in U.S. soccer coaching clinics for the next decade.
Oh, for sure.
The tactical breakdown here was catastrophic. The U.S. goalkeeper, Matt Freese, he makes a split-second decision to act as a sweeper keeper. So he races out of his penalty area to clear a long ball.
Which is always risky.
Super risky. And the fundamental problem is he completely misses his clearance.
He just whiffs it, completely misses the ball.
He whiffs it. And against a team like Belgium, a single miscalculation of that magnitude is fatal.
Yeah.
De Ketelaere instantly steals possession. Freese is now just stranded out in no man's land, 20 yards from his own net.
Panic mode.
Absolute panic mode. The entire U.S. defensive line scrambles, sprinting back to try and cover the gaping goal. But Hans Vanaken calmly measures his angles and just drills a long-range shot right past Tim Ream's desperate sliding block and into the empty net.
I was looking at our source material earlier, looking at these breakdowns of Stanley Kubrick's cinematic compositions. And all I could think about during that freeze error was Kubrick's concept of negative space.
Okay, I like this frame of reference. Walk us through how you see that applying to the pitch.
Well, so in film, Kubrick uses negative space to create a sense of intense vulnerability. He'll frame a character pushed all the way to one side of the screen, leaving this massive oppressive void filling the rest of the frame.
Right, to build tension.
Exactly. It makes the viewer feel incredibly anxious, like something terrible is inevitable, like a monster's going to fill that void. When Freese raced out and missed that ball, he created massive negative space on the field.
Oh, I see where you're going with this.
The entire U.S. defense became geometrically unbalanced, violently pulled out of position to compensate for his error. It left this gaping void in the center of the pitch.
And that massive negative space is exactly what Belgium's system is designed to hunt for. Because in football, space is the ultimate currency.
Right.
When a goalkeeper abandons his area and misses the ball, he isn't just leaving the net empty. He is fundamentally breaking the geometric structure of the entire team.
Because everyone has to react to him.
Exactly. The back line has to instantly contract to protect the goal. By pulling tightly together in the center, they leave the flanks and the top of the penalty box completely exposed.
Just a huge void.
Yeah, Vanaken didn't even have to rush his shot. The negative space Freese created gave Vatican the most valuable thing on a football pitch, which is time.
And the tragic part is, the fans were so incredibly ready for a heroic comeback. If you were following the discussions on vailychat.web.app leading up to the game, the hype was absolutely unreal.
Yeah, the buildup was huge.
Everyone was buzzing because striker Folarin Balogun was finally available to play. His red card from the previous Bosnia and Herzegovina match had been successfully suspended by the FIFA disciplinary committee.
He is supposed to be the secret weapon, right?
Exactly, the fresh legs that would tear through the Belgian line.
And to his credit, Balogun did provide some late signs of life when he came on. He injected pace, and, the U.S. didn't just roll over and surrender.
They fought hard.
They did. But Thibaut Courtois is arguably one of the best goalkeepers of his generation for a reason. He absolutely denied Balogun on multiple occasions, shutting the door completely on any fairy tale narrative.
Yeah, he was a wall.
And then, as the U.S. pushed every single outfield player forward in a desperate, frantic attempt to salvage the game, Romelu Lukaku pounced on a loose clearance in the 93rd minute and sealed the 4-1 victory.
So what does this all mean for the rest of the tournament, beyond just a single heartbreaking loss for the United States?
What's fascinating here is how this reshapes the entire geopolitical landscape of the tournament. After the match, Belgium coach Rudy Garcia rightfully claimed that they proved they are a great football nation.
Hard to argue with that.
Right. But if we zoom out and look at the reality of this World Cup, the USA was the final co-host remaining in the tournament. Canada and Mexico had already bowed out earlier.
Wow, yeah.
By eliminating the U.S., Belgium officially killed the home field advantage narrative for the rest of the 2026 World Cup.
That is a massive shift in the tournament's energy. I mean, it fundamentally changes what the players feel when they walk out of the tunnel.
Exactly. The tournament is now entirely populated by visiting nations. The stadiums will still be full and Americans will still buy tickets. But that partisan host nation roar, that collective desperation of 70,000 people willing their own country forward, it's just gone.
The psychological edge of playing at home is dead.
Completely dead.
Well, the U.S. collapse was a lesson in how quickly space can kill you. But if you want to see what happens when a team is suffocated by a lack of space and a complete lack of oxygen,
Right.
we need to look at what happened down in Mexico City.
Oh, man. That match.
Here's where it gets really interesting. Let's transition to the other side of the bracket, down to Estadio Azteca, where England faced off against Mexico in a match that was practically a battle for physical survival.
Survival is the exact right word. The environmental factors alone were staggering long before anyone even kicked a ball.
Let's paint the picture for you. First of all, the conditions were brutal. You have a massive 1-hour thunderstorm delay just to start the match, leaving players sitting in the locker room, cooling down, losing their mental edge.
Just draining.
Then you were playing at 7,300 feet of altitude in Estadio Azteca. And if that wasn't enough, the Mexican fans, famous for their relentless passion, were blasting horns outside the England team hotel all night long to disrupt their sleep.
It's the ultimate test of human endurance. At 7,300 feet, the partial pressure of oxygen is significantly lower. Your lungs have to work exponentially harder to deliver oxygen to your muscles. Lactic acid builds up faster, meaning your legs literally feel like lead by the 60th minute.
I can't even imagine.
And from a purely physics standpoint, the thin air actually changes how the game is played. The ball travels through the air faster and with less resistance, which completely messes with a goalkeeper's timing on crosses and shots.
Wow, I didn't even think about the ball physics.
Yeah, it's huge. Add severe sleep deprivation to that physiological stress, and England was fighting a massive uphill battle before the referee even blew the starting whistle.
But somehow they pushed through the exhaustion and delivered a thrilling 3-2 victory. It started as a pure goal frenzy.
It really did.
Jude Bellingham, the Real Madrid superstar, just silences that massive Azteca crowd with the rapid-fire brace, meaning he scored 2 goals back-to-back. He heads in a brilliant cross from Bukayo Saka in the 36th minute.
A beautiful goal.
And then almost straight from the ensuing kickoff, Harry Kane sets him up to slot home his second goal in the 38th minute.
The Azteca was completely shell-shocked. But Mexico, drawing on that altitude adaptation and the sheer volume of that incredible crowd, they fought back immediately.
They didn't quit.
Not at all. Julian Quinones crashed an absolutely unstoppable shot past England goalkeeper Jordan Pickford in the 42nd minute to make it 2-1 right before the half. It gave them a lifeline. And then the second half descended into absolute madness.
Complete and utter madness. In the 54th minute, England defender Jarell Quansah gets shown a straight red card for a dangerous foul on Jesus Gallardo. England is now reduced to 10 men in the thin, suffocating air of Mexico City.
The worst-case scenario.
Now, I want to interject here and push back on the dominant tactical narrative. This reminds me of another Kubrick concept from our sources, pattern interruption.
Okay, lay it on me.
England had this very deliberate rhythm, a pattern they were using to control the game. But the red card was a violent pattern interruption. It completely shattered their control and forced them into this desperate, backs-to-the-wall survival mode.
I see that, yeah.
So I have to ask you, everyone is praising Gareth Southgate's elite execution, but come on. Did Southgate's men survive because of skill or pure luck?
That's a fair question.
I mean, they're down a man, playing at altitude, completely surrendering possession. They look like a dam bursting, just plugging holes with their fingers. Didn't they just survive because Mexico couldn't finish their dinner?
It's tempting to look at a team backed into their own penalty area and call it luck, but I have to calmly disagree here. It wasn't luck. It was a masterclass in structural resilience.
Really?
Yes. When a team goes down to 10 men, they have to instantly abandon their original game plan and adopt a low block.
Explain exactly what that looks like on the pitch for someone who doesn't study tactics.
Essentially, you are parking the bus, you pull almost all your players back deep into your own territory, usually abandoning the forward areas entirely. You form two tight, impenetrable horizontal lines of defenders and midfielders right in front of your own penalty box. You willingly surrender the flanks. You let the opposing team have the ball out wide, but you absolutely refuse to let them pass through the center.
Which takes a lot of effort, right?
Incredible discipline, because you are constantly shifting side to side as a unit, letting the opponent pass the ball around you, just waiting to intercept a mistake. It is exhausting, especially at altitude.
So they basically dared Mexico to try and cross the ball into a crowded box.
Exactly. They absorbed the relentless Mexican attack by clogging the most dangerous areas. And crucially, they capitalized on their rare, isolated counterattacks.
Right.
Just moments after going down to 10 men, Anthony Gordon managed to break away and was clumsily brought down in the box by Mexico's goalkeeper, Raul Rangel.
And Harry Kane steps up.
Harry Kane steps up. He converts the penalty for his 14th career World Cup goal. That ties him with the legendary Gerd Muller of West Germany for 5th on the all-time tournament scoring list.
That is massive.
To take a penalty with that much pressure, surrounded by whistling fans, takes ice in the veins. And even though Mexico got a penalty of their own later on which Raul Jimenez converted to make it 3-2 England's low block, held on through a grueling 11 minutes of stoppage time.
The post-match quotes really capture the raw emotion of surviving that crucible. Jude Bellingham called it the best night of my England career, noting that the traveling fans were singing Oasis's Wonderwall high up in the stands.
What a scene that must have been.
On the other side, Mexican coach Javier Aguirre took full, absolute responsibility for the exit, which you don't always see. And even Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum weighed in, publicly urging the nation to keep moving forward.
It really was more than just a game.
It was a cultural event. I was looking at vailychat.web.app this morning, and the local community is exploding with debates on whether this Azteca victory ranks as England's greatest modern win.
It certainly has the narrative weight to rank up there, especially when you factor in the altitude, the red card, the hostile environment, and the historical stakes.
It really does. And the fact that we are talking about presidents weighing in perfectly highlights just how massively this tournament has permeated global culture. It's not just a sporting event anymore. It's dominating the global conversation.
100%.
As proof of that, we have to look at a direct quote from U.S. President Donald Trump, who publicly praised the England captain following the match. He stated, and I quote, "Harry Kane of England is great player."
Wow, okay.
Now, I want to be perfectly clear to you, the listener, we are not endorsing any political viewpoints here. This deep dive is entirely impartial. We are simply reporting the source material to illustrate the inescapable global reach of the 2026 World Cup.
Right, it's just about the cultural footprint.
Exactly. When a former U.S. president is taking time to weigh in on the English captain's performance, it proves this tournament has completely breached the walls of the sports world and entered the broader cultural zeitgeist.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, we see that massive global scale playing out across multiple, incredibly compelling narratives in this tournament. It's not just about the traditional heavyweights like England or Belgium.
Who else is standing out?
Well, look at DR Congo's Yoane Wissa. He won Man of the Match and made history by becoming only the 4th African player ever to score 3 goals in a single World Cup group stage. He joins absolute legends of the continent, like Papa Bouba Diop.
That is a monumental achievement for African
Oh, it
football.
truly is. It shifts how the global scouting network views the domestic talent pipelines in those nations. And then you have a story like Canada.
Oh, yeah, Canada has been so interesting.
Despite the incredibly bittersweet feeling of losing your match in Vancouver, they actually advanced to the round of 32 to play South Africa. Doing that for the first time ever proves their program is on a steep upward trajectory.
Even with a loss, advancing is huge.
Exactly. Or you can look at the emerging talent, the wonder kids, like Argentina's Nico Paz. He is out there drawing public praise from absolute footballing royalty like Francesco Totti.
Wow, Toady.
Yeah. The tournament is generating these global touchstones on a daily basis, rewriting the history books in real time.
So, what does this all mean for us? What I love is how this massive global energy always manages to connect right back down to the local level for our listeners.
How do you mean? How does a World Cup in Mexico City translate to daily life for you or me?
Well, just looking at the trending topics in our own backyard on vailychat.web.app, it's a perfect microcosm. While the World Cup is raging on the global stage, Vail is busy celebrating its 60th birthday.
Oh, happy birthday, Van.
Yeah, they just unveiled Pat Milbury's interactive Heart of the Game sculpture right in the center of the village. It's a physical gathering point. Meanwhile, over in Edwards, local mystery author Scott Graham is launching his brand new thriller at the Bookworm, packing the store with readers.
That's great to hear.
And at the exact same time, you have local environmental advocates passionately urging property owners to transition to water-wise xeriscaping.
Now, for those who might not be familiar with landscaping terms, xeriscaping is essentially redesigning your property with drought-resistant native plants and rocks. So it requires almost zero irrigation, right?
Exactly. It's replacing thirsty green lawns with sustainable landscaping to protect Gore Creek during this historic, brutal drought we are facing.
That's a fascinating juxtaposition. You have England managing their limited physical energy in a low block to survive the altitude, and you have Vale residents managing their limited water resources through xeriscaping to survive a drought.
It's all about managing resources.
It really shows that whether people are rallying behind a World Cup quarterfinal in a stadium of 80,000 people or rallying together to save a local creek through resource conservation, the core psychological driver is exactly the same:
Which is?
community engagement. People inherently want to feel connected to something larger than themselves. They want to be an active part of a shared narrative, whether that narrative is spanning 3 countries or focused on a single hyperlocal watershed.
Exactly. It all comes back to how we connect with each other and how we endure challenges together. But as we look ahead to the rest of this tournament, the physical toll we touched on earlier, the sheer endurance required to survive, is really starting to loom large over the remaining teams.
This raises an important question, and it's a concept I really want you, the listener, to mull over as we head toward the final stages of the tournament.
Okay, let's hear it.
We've spent a lot of time today talking about tactics, geometric space, and specific goals. But according to a newly published analysis by The Guardian, 2 matches in this tournament have already been played in what climatologists strictly classify as severe heat.
Wow. Severe heat. Not just uncomfortable, but medically severe.
Yes, the kind of heat where core body temperatures reach dangerous levels. And when you combine that extreme ambient temperature with the grueling geographic travel demanded by a massive tri-country tournament, the numbers become alarming.
It's a massive footprint.
Think about the physical reality of flying from the 7,300-foot altitude and thin air of the Azteca in Mexico City all the way up to the damp, heavy coastal climate of Seattle.
The human body just doesn't have the time to adapt to those rapid pressure and climate changes.
It doesn't. Your circadian rhythms are shattered, your cellular recovery is compromised, and your soft tissues become incredibly vulnerable to tearing. And remember, this is the first World Cup ever played with the expanded 48-team format.
Right, which adds a lot to the physical toll.
That means it is a longer tournament, requiring more matches to win, with significantly more travel across a wider landmass. So the philosophical question we have to ask is this: is this expanded 48-team format pushing human physiology to its absolute breaking point?
That is a scary thought.
As we look to the future of the sport, will international football be dictated less by tactical skill or a manager's brilliant game plan and dictated entirely by climate survival and geographic endurance? Are we no longer watching a test of skill, but purely watching a battle of biological attrition?
That is a brilliant, provocative, and honestly slightly terrifying thought to end on. It completely reframes how you watch these athletes dragging themselves across the pitch in the 90th minute. Are they genuinely being outplayed by the opposition, or are they just geographically and biologically exhausted by the format of the tournament itself?
Something to think about next match.
Definitely. We want to hear your take on all of this. What do you think about the tactical mishaps that doomed the U.S., the sheer physical survival required for England to win it all, or the local pushes for their escaping?
We want to hear from you.
Keep the conversation going on vailychat.web.app. But better yet, we want to hear from you in person. Come meet us at Pozzo's Pizza in Avon right now to debate England's chances and grab a slice. We'll be there arguing over low blocks and negative space. Until next time, remember, when you see that empty space on the field, ask yourself what's about to fill the void. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.